It's about damn time.
Powerful Nerdcast assembles!
Stay dandy, baby. An epic bloody battle is about to begin. After a decade of waiting, the Bleach anime series has returned for its final arc, the 1,000-Year Blood War. If you want to see some action and be the center of attraction, you have got to be here right now to check out the final arc of the Bleach anime series. What reality are we living in where this is actually happening? The last time we saw the Bleach anime series was 10 years ago, the end of the Fullbringer arc, where suddenly it just sort of ended. The manga version continued with no end in sight, and then suddenly, just like the anime series itself, it suddenly came to a very swift end, and a lot of fans were not fully satisfied with the ending that they got. And that was sort of the end of the legacy of Bleach, yet it still managed to live on, always being remembered as one of the big three. Alongside both Naruto and One Piece, Bleach in its heyday was a pretty big fucking deal. The Bleach anime series to me is very personal. It's one of those anime that really got me back into anime in general. And I was introduced to Bleach through its anime adaptation. And then eventually I went on to read the manga, and even when I first started my YouTube channel, the Bleach manga series was one of the very first reviews that I did along with my good friend Christian, and we reviewed it all the way up to the very end of that series. And even then, I thought, there's maybe a small possibility that the Bleach anime series could return. And it just never happened. And now, here we are. It's here. The final season of Bleach is actually going to get an anime adaptation, and honestly, it's really damned exciting. It's also really cool that they're bringing back pretty much everyone who's involved in the production of the original series. Studio Pierrot is going to be doing all the animation yet again, all the voice actors are back, even the music has returned. I mean, when you heard number 1, Ichgo's theme in this episode, if you didn't get goosebumps, I don't know what to tell you. And the very first episode of this arc is definitely made for fans of the series, as it really skips no beat at all. It jumps right into the swing of things, hoping that you are very familiar with the Bleach series overall. It does no recapping at all, it just gets right into it, and it's pretty freaking great. It also helps that after 10 years, animation has evolved and changed and gotten even more stylistic, so this is the best that Bleach has ever looked. The 1,000-Year Blood War is ultimately the culmination of the entire series, as it introduces a brand new group of villains, the Wandenreich, who are essentially a massive military group of Quincy. Yes, you remember Quincy's? The only one that we've ever seen throughout the course of the entire series has been Ichigo's friend, Oryu Ishida. But now, we finally get to see them coming out of the shadows as they prepare to go to war with Soul Society and the Shinigami. And as the name of the arc would imply, this is going to be very bloody, and I'm really glad to say that there really isn't a lot of censorship in the very first episode of the series. To me, Bleach was always the most blood-soaked of the big three. Whenever characters got attacked, they basically just hemorrhaged all over the place, and you get to see a lot of that in this very first episode, which, like I said, pretty much jumps right into the swing of things. The episode opens up in Soul Society, where we get to see the mad scientist Mayuri Kuratsuchi is noticing that a lot of people are suddenly disappearing in Soul Society with no explanation. As they go to investigate that, we get to go back to Karakura Town, which is of course still being assaulted by tons of different hollows, and the Shinigami who's actually looking over the town, the guy with the big afro, decides to give his duties to these two brand new young Shinigami. There is Ryunosuke and there is Shino. And while these two characters are not necessarily going to make a massive splash in the final arc of the series, they're a great introduction to new viewers of the show who want to see what a Shinigami actually does. Ultimately though, however, this entire scene is mostly an excuse to reintroduce the main cast of the series, and honestly, I have no problem with that. It was really great going through the whole roll call, seeing both Shino and Ryunosuke almost being killed by these hollows when suddenly Ichigo and his gang finally arrive. And they all get to do something really freaking awesome, and they all look great. And luckily, Ichigo is able to save these two Shinigami. However, they don't really have much of a time to relax when suddenly they are attacked by a brand new villain, an Arankar who goes by the name of Asciaro Aburn. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now because I had this problem when I reviewed the Bleach manga series. I am going to mispronounce a lot of names. It's just gonna happen. There's a bunch of Japanese, German, and Spanish-sounding names, and I'm just gonna fuck it up. So just, don't waste your time in the comments. Let's just talk about the episode. Or waste your time in the comments. I really don't give a shit. So this Iran card just shows up, and Ichgio decides to just kick him right in the face, initiating an epic battle. And what's really unique here is that on the outside of appearances, he's most definitely an Iran car. He has the whole hollow mask on the side of his face, but he also happens to have a Quincy cross. Apparently this is an Iran car which belongs to the Wandenreich. This scene also serves as an excuse to finally see Ichgio in action yet again, which again, it's a pretty great looking sequence. I mean, the best thing about it, without a shadow of a doubt, has got to be the artwork. The animation itself is okay. It's not mind-blowing or anything, but there's this brand new stylistic change to the series which just, I think, is going to make this arc seem a little bit more unique when compared to the things that we saw from the previous arcs. Also, the look of Ichgio Aborn is also just really cool. I love the weapon that he uses with his Quincy cross, which is essentially a giant bow and arrow which fires all manner of big attacks. And he's also constantly trying to egg on Ichgio to use his Bankai as if it's something of a trap, and of course that's exactly what it is, as he seems to have the ability to either neutralize Bankai abilities, erase them, or outright steal them. But of course, Ichgio manages to break through all of this and manages to defeat him anyway before Ichgio makes a quick escape. While all that shit's going down, we go back to the Soul Society, where again they're continuing to investigate the disappearances of all these characters, when suddenly we cut to the commander of the Gotei 13, Genryusei Yamamoto, who is suddenly confronted by a group of mysterious individuals wearing these long white coats with these black masks. These are the Wandenreich. They make their big declaration of war against Soul Society, and they do it in the most violent way possible, not only decapitating a random Shinigami, but also we get to see the death of a major character, the lieutenant of Yamamoto. That's right, the dandiest of Shinigami, Sasakibe, ends up flying into this room with a massive Quincy arrow piercing his entire body as he's damn near killed in this instant. Right as the Wandenreich are making their declaration of war, Yamamoto tries to attack them with a massive fiery attack, only for them to suddenly disappear in a flurry of shadows, just like Ichgio. And then we get to see him for the very first time. The main final villain of the series, the king of the Quincy. That's right. And we get to see that Ichgio meets up with the other Wandenreich members, some of which are also Iran car. And this is also a great demonstration that the Quincy King ain't fucking around. He immediately cuts off the arm of one of these guys, ending it saying that he doesn't want to see all of these people arguing with one another, declaring how powerful he truly is and that you really just don't want to mess with this guy at all. And just like that, the first episode of the final arc of Bleach is over. It ends with a really nice ending sequence where we get to see like all of these big montages from some of the famous moments of the entire series, which is really great for longtime fans to finally see. Honestly, it's a badass love letter to people who've been following this series for so long. It's sort of a reward to say, you've been waiting for this. Here it is. Enjoy. So overall, I have to say I really loved the first episode. My favorite thing about it is that they didn't waste any time. They just got right into the action, and they pretty much rewarded people who've been waiting for the next part of the story by not bogging it down in a bunch of unnecessary details, as well as trying to appeal to a bunch of new viewers. This is an episode which is for fans of Bleach, and I really appreciate that they were actually going to do that. And considering that they're not going to be confided to the rules of having to follow a weekly manga series anymore, I have a feeling that the pacing is also going to be pretty solid for this series. Apparently, it's going to be 52 episodes long, and it's going to be split up into 4 different cores, with each one being about 12 to 13 episodes, which I think is actually going to be very appropriate, and there's going to be some small breaks in between. I hope this means that consistently we're going to get some really good quality out of this final arc of the series, which was not perfect in manga form, and I really hope that they're going to try and patch up some of those weaker parts from the manga, maybe expand on some certain things. Most importantly, it's the action that I really can't wait to see, because this is one of the most action-packed arcs of the entire series, if not the most action-packed. It is just a ton of crazy action for the series, not to mention a lot of massive revelations for a lot of the characters. I mean, we have to think about it. This entire arc is all about the invasion of the Quincy, these incredibly mysterious characters. How is this all going to connect to Ichgio and, most importantly, his friend Uryu, who also just so happens to be a Quincy himself? There's going to be drama, there's going to be action, there's going to be buckets of blood, and I cannot wait to see it unfold. Full transparency, I was not completely in love with this very first episode, but it didn't take away my hype or my excitement just to see one of my favorite series finally make its return, and doing so without skipping a beat, and with a lot of love put behind its artwork, its animation, its voice acting, and of course its music. These are things that Bleach actually does excel at, and I'm really glad to see that they're kind of bringing things up to a brand new level for this final arc of the series. I mean, just like I said, it's not just the animation, but just the use of color in this episode is so striking when compared to some of the other things that I've seen from the previous episodes of the series. It's a modern makeover that I think is going to work really well for the show. So Bleach fans, you gotta check this one out. It is kind of hard to watch. You have to be either subscribed to Hulu or, internationally you have to use Disney Plus, which, saying that out loud is really freaking weird. I mean, Bleach on Disney, that's just all sorts of fucked up. But there it is. It's there for you, and I really hope that all Bleach fans are going to check it out. Maybe new fans are going to check it out. And you heard my thoughts about the episode. I mean, I really liked it. I think this is at least a 4 out of 5 in my opinion. Not perfect, but still, as a Bleach fan, it got me all sorts of hyped up. But maybe you thought differently. Maybe you loved it more. Maybe you didn't like it. Tell me your thoughts about this episode in the comments section below. Your favorite moments, your favorite character reintroductions, and what you hope to see from this big bloody battle between the Shinigami and the Quincy. And of course, what you hope to see from the rest of the final arc of Bleach, the 1,000-year Blood War. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.